let's talk about having a process, reviewing, and note taking. I'll show you my process in this video and I'll show how I would review and take notes. But first, let's talk about why even have a process in the first place. Well, I like to think of it like this. If you go to the gym and you want to build strength and muscle, you can just wing it for a while. You can show up consistently and you will do that. But after a point, you will hit a plateau, which is going to be different for everyone. And to make further progress, you need to make sure that you're progressively overloading the stimulus that you're doing. So you're pushing yourself to do more than you did last time. This is how you make progress. Because if you just go and do the same thing over and over again, you'll just stay fit, but you won't make further progress. So same thing applies to League. You can just mindlessly play and not improve for years. If you're a beginner, you'll often improve until you reach a certain point where you'll plateau. And for me, that was mid to high diamond. So the point of a process is having a long-term plan of making incremental improvements that will accumulate over time so that you can reach your goal. So this is the format I would use to take my notes. So the first thing I would do is that I would categorize each mistake. And I would do this to make sense out of my notes and to see patterns. So for example, these were some of the categories that I've used. Now they're kind of specifically tailored to my champion and my process. So they could be different for your process and your champion. So I have abbreviations for each category just to keep everything short and concise, easy to write and easy to read. So for example, matchup error would be something related to a matchup. Maybe you get hit by Darius E if you're playing top. Minimap story, I call it minimap story instead of map awareness because I'm thinking like it just resonates better with me. I'm thinking that the minimap tells you a story, and if you follow that, you will be aware of what's going on. So that would be like jungle tracking, if mid lane has priority, what the support is doing, and death timers could be like a visual cue of, hey, I know the enemy support is about to respawn now. Will they go bot or will they roam? So anything related to that. So for example, it could look like this. I would go B4, that would be block 4. So notice how I just write B4 to keep it as short as possible. And then I would have game 1 here. Usually I would play like 3 games, but I could play less or more than that, depending on how I feel. But usually I would recommend keeping it to a set amount of games, unless you're win streaking, to decrease sabotage. But I would go G1 here for game 1, and then I would do the matchup. Since I'm just playing one champion, I'm one tricking, I would just write the matchup. But if you're playing multiple champions, you can do like, oh, let's say you played Riven this game, you would go Riven versus Jax, for example. So the format usually looks like this. I would do the category in caps lock, and then I would have like another category, like a subcategory if needed. Then I would do like further info and add more context. I just separate each of these with the hyphens. So for example, we could have MS for minimap story. So it would be something related to the minimap story, more specifically mid prio. And then I add CI rumble roam. CI stands for champion identity. So when Rumble plays mid, it's kind of his identity to push and roam. That's why I kind of wrote the category here as well. So it's very clear what happened here. I didn't follow the minimap. I didn't think of Rumble's champion identity, and I missed the roam. And then we have more stuff here. Matchup error related to my Q usage on Vayne. Maybe I wasted my Q. We can see here I add more context. I used Q to farm, so I couldn't space Jax Q plus E, which is really important in the Vayne Jax matchup. So this is kind of how you can do it. And you just keep going. And then for more games, you'll just add G2. Rumble, let's say, and then you would keep going. I also want to add, if you can't categorize a mistake, if I would be unable to categorize a mistake and it's something like quite niche, but still interesting, I would just like write it out. I would just write it out, but I would try to keep it short. So I would review the most recent block and then I would play after I've reviewed, because I've found that when I review a day after like this, I'm less emotionally attached to the actual games. I can just look at the games more objectively. And I think that's a really good way to go about it, because if you review right away, you're going to very often look for what you think went wrong, because you're coming in with a fresh narrative that you want to confirm.
Oh, they were so bad. That is so ass. Let's watch the ball see what happened. Okay, this is disgusting. This is nasty work. That's nasty. That's nasty work. Whatever. The game should have been that hard anyway.
And you don't want to do that. You want to avoid that. So that's why I review after, and it works as a great mental warm-up. I use OBS, by the way, to record my games. You can use whatever recording software you want. There are recording softwares where you can actually Like they're more integrated with the game, so you can see where you died and where you got kills. I know that's a pretty good alternative, but I like to do it this way. So I'm playing as Riven here. We see that they're invading. I'm moving down. Moving down. Find Lilia. Play slow. I know Riven's there. Get a double kill. Great. I'm pretty healthy, so I can just kind of stay. Recall. Perfect. Lilia moves up. We're aware. We're following the minimap story. We know Lilia is up here. Ah, this was bad. So we knew Lilia was up here. Like we knew she was up here trying to do crab, or just up here in general. So the fact that we get caught here is really cringe. So let's try to figure out why we got caught. I just walk really close to Riven. Look how close I walk. And then I farm, so I'm stuck in animation and she's so close. I also don't E her immediately, which I should. I'm very slow on the E. But I would say it's a spacing error mainly. So I would say so I knew about Lilia being here, but I just played with too low margins, bad spacing, matchup error. I let Riven get too close. So that's what I would categorize it. And then I overplayed this, I believe. Yeah, bad spacing, overplayed the gank. Overplayed gank and died. Really poor. We come back. Let's look at this. Riven's here. Why am I not queuing? I'm so unresponsive. Our ghosting seems weak here. I'm so close to level 6. I should just queue and get level 6. Yeah, I should definitely queue back there. Just bad spacing. It's like matchup error. Bad spacing. Queue back. Double A is autopilot auto. They like my notes here are very tailored towards my experience playing Vayne here. You just need to kind of understand the general concept, and then you'll have to tailor it for your situation. Matchup error, bad spacing, autopilot auto. Yeah, that's what I would categorize that. And then I would say, I would add some more context and say, queue back. Play, got the kill anyway. Okay, so I'm pretty close to done here. Yeah, this is definitely end of review mistake. What's going on here? That's completely, I lost map-wise. So where do we see Lilia? So I usually just go back. Okay, we see Lilia bot. They're fighting. Lilia dies. So it's a death timer. Here we know Lilia will be spawning here in 2 seconds. That should be on my mind. Looks like I'm typing here. Unfortunate, I'm not keeping up with MS here. So you can kind of see how I'm allocating my like attention and mental stack wrong here potentially. Maybe I already thought about this, but I probably didn't. But this is like, it's interesting because like I really need to note this, that Lilia is about to spawn, because then I can try to figure out to which side she would likely move, and that could really affect my decision making. That's minimap story, following the minimap story. She could really go anywhere. We know her raptors aren't up. So, and since she was bot side, it's very likely she's going to move to the other side. That's sort of a common concept. So I should just last it here. This makes sense. Let's see, Rek'Sai is also here. When your jungler is close, you should definitely not die to the enemy jungler. That's extra bad, because then you're strong side and you die on strong side, which like you kind of screw over your jungler when you do that. So that's another clue. I usually look for clues a lot. Like, how can I, in the game, when I'm in this position, how can I allocate my attention in the right places? You want to look for like visual cues, visual triggers that can get you into the right state of mind. So I obviously don't push this. Should I shove the next wave? I feel like I should shove this wave. It's a C wave though. I feel like I should have shoved this wave though. But it's not the worst. This is really poor. It's just really poor movement. Like, and not only is this wrong from a minimap story perspective, because I'm not realizing Lilia it could potentially be here. So like minimap jungle, it's just a flat out mistake in terms of matchup and spacing too. Because I want to space Ribbon. She should never be able to EQ me. I should always be able to Q back and keep the tether going. So it's like a double mistake here. So let's see why I performed this spacing error. See, that click was bad. Like, I ulted her, which is like fine. Now I should probably like click back. You see, I click forward. I should probably click back here, so I maintain the tether, because when she goes on me here, like here she goes, and my character's moving forward. So spacing error here, totally. And I shouldn't be doing this in the first place because Lilia's here. So double mistake there. So it would be Emmy, bad spacing, MS jungle, death timer. Death timer is the visual cue, so I'm just gonna write like death timer, visual cue. Could also just write death timer. But that's how I would do it. So this would definitely be end of review here. We did win this game. I got quite fed, but that's besides the point. So let's look at the next one. So we come in here. Let's restart. Where does Lee Sin start? Do we get a clue? Okay, we actually see Lee Sin. Okay, we see Lee Sin. Start here. I do put a ward down there. Yeah, because I saw Sion actually leash, so I knew he had to come from here or here. And it's a good ward against Lee Sin too, because he's a gank jungler, so I like that. We hit Sion a little bit. We knew Lee Sin walked up. Yeah, so Lee Sin could definitely gank here. Could definitely do a 3-me gank, especially since he committed to this start, right? Since he went up. It's very inefficient to start Raptors, move up like this, and then path your way down to bot. Like you would do red Krugs Raptors, so you're closer towards the bot, and they're respawning in like a matter that's like time efficient. But since he did that, that's such a clue that he would gank here as well. So here's the deal. I get hit by Sion Q, which is really bad. So why do I get hit by Sion Q? I use my Q right in front of him so he can just Q. So it's definitely a Q usage mistake, especially since Lee Sin has just finished here and we knew about this Q that he would likely gank me. So it's once again a double mistake. Not only is it like tied to minimap story, with the minimap story we could figure out that it really makes sense for Lee Sin to be here level 3. He's a ganking jungler, a pressure jungler, who wants to gank, and he did that pathing. He also has CC from the Sion potentially. So not only do we have that info, we also make a mistake of, like, in terms of the matchup where I use my Q bad, so Sion can hit his Q. So it's like a double mistake, just like last game. So we see a pattern here where we fail to follow the minimap story and we make a matchup error mistake, which then we get punished for. So let's do ME Q usage. Sion gets Q off. MS minimap story, level 3 gank. CI Lee Sin path Sergeant Raptors. Okay. Nice flash though, but once again, like I use flash when I shouldn't have to use it. I use ghosts, Lee Sin flashes. Nice dodge, good movement. Now Lee Sin stays in the bush. It's another Q usage. I Q forward. He Qs me. He's very low here. So Lee Sin stayed in the bush. It's so crazy that he stayed for that long. It like, once again, if I just chill a bit more and I don't walk forward, because Sion is this so low here and he's deciding to stay. If I'm just a little bit more apprehensive and toying with the idea that Lee Sin potentially stayed here, and I just like chill a little bit more, I just wait, I test the waters a bit, like I just wait here for a little bit, then I'm just outplaying him so hard here because he's fully relying on me committing for the dive, just as when he's ganking me top here, he's relying on me getting hit by the Sion Q so he can get the gank off. It's honestly a terrible decision what he did here, and this is also a bad decision if I'm more like attentive, because even now, like, he has 13 CS, it's 12 plus a minion, so he has cleared 3 camps, and Lilia is in his bot side jungle, and she has full cleared. She has full cleared, and she's in his bot side jungle. He's so far behind. Getting a kill on tank Sion 2 is like pathetic. It doesn't change the matchup at all. So complete, in my opinion, just a terrible play by Lee Sin. Really desperate, and it's still fine. But yeah, I could have played it better. He could have been really doomed here. Like, his game could have been over right away. Lilia takes blue, and I think Lilia messes up here. She somehow gets like caught and dies, and then she loses her entire advantage that we kind of set up for her by pulling Lee Sin for that long, but fine. Okay, very common spot for Sion to sit there. Let's write that down. It's like a matchup error. Sion Q in bush. Okay. So it's like Sion usually sits here, uses his Q like this when you like walk here. Very common for him to get back to lane, walk through the bushes, and then sit with the Q here. So something you should have in your mind, just as when you play against Jace, he's going to come back and he's going to E plus Q from Fog to try to snipe you with it. Something you need to think about beforehand. Okay, so definitely a little bit of a mistake there. We play here. He ults. Could have E'd faster there. Should have E'd immediately. Yeah, he had flash here. I was thinking about his flash, but I didn't quite respect it. Like, it's a, like, didn't time his flash and respect. All right, that's going to be close to end of review. Happening here. Yeah, you see this angle? We talked about this angle. It's going to be there. Yeah. Yeah. So, let's do ME Sion Q Fog angle. Let's call it that. Okay, so we're playing against Kennen. Let's see, where does enemy jungler start? He starts here. I don't like this. This was a mistake. I outplayed him, needed one more. He flashes. I kill him with flash Q, but I die as well. Now, that could be fine depending on wave state. For example, if you trade 1-for-1 and the wave's pushing into you, that's good. Because he's losing a bunch of creeps and I'll just be able to pick up. I will basically not lose as many, right? But if my wave's bigger, so it's pushing into him, I'm going to lose these creeps and he's going to gain these. So right now I can't really tell. It looks pretty even. Since he already flashed, I can just save my flash here. And I can just recall on a even wave state or... and it's going to be fine. So yeah, I don't really like this, honestly. Yeah, wave was bad. Okay. So for that reason, I'm going to write ME trade kills with bad wave. Could also just take the flash, take his flash, preserve mine. Yeah, that was a mistake. So I come back here, he's level 6. I have no flash, he has no flash. He's just literally Eing into me. I need to E him. I'm so unresponsive on E. It's like, this is such a brain fart. You can tell I'm just caught completely off guard here. I just Q to the side instead of E. I have to E him here. Like, I'm fine. I just E him. I'm fine. E cannons E. Trade here when Graves is up here. That's fine. It's actually more than fine. That's good. He autos me. E, W, alt. I'm stunned. And then he hits Q when I'm stunned. Very classic. Then autoing. So what happened? I tried to chase him. I'm slow on the E. Like, I don't E his E. So I'll do X2 here. Either you do X2 or you just write it again. Actually, I'll just do this. Adds a little bit more clutter, but I think it has more of a visual impact. Okay, I'm gonna end the review there. I usually do this after 8 blocks or something. Let's say 8 blocks. You do like a massive summary. You go back and look at your past 5 to 8 blocks, and then you summarize the most common categories of mistakes. But since I play so many games here, we can do it here. So matchup error. This is why you want to categorize it. It's a lot of matchup errors. It's pretty much just MEMS, in my opinion. See, I didn't E reactively here either. So that was kind of like an example of a review. Now, once again, I played way too many games here, or I played like a lot of games here. So this is honestly too many games to review. This took so much time, but so like ideally you just have 3 games that you can go over fairly quickly. You don't want to skim over all the details, so you're barely getting into the details, but you also don't want to sit for 1-2 hours and just getting completely lost in the details. So it's always this balance of keeping it short and concise, but still getting into the details.